In today's episode, we will discover our inner artist. Carol, welcome. You are a West Coast person who found themselves here in the Midwest over love. Mm-hmm. But you have been a secret artist, right? You've had these careers in everything but art, and now your inner artist has come out, and now you're teaching classes, helping other people to discover their art as well. When you were over on the West Coast, you were tell me a little bit about how the artist in you developed.
Well, my mom was an artist, so it runs in the family. My kids are very artsy, music and that sort of thing. So I think it's just that strain that runs through the family. It branches off. I got more of the fine art, not the music art part of it. So it was always something to do. But my mom said that as soon as I could hold a pencil, it was in my hand. So.
Well, there's very few people who make a living as a professional artist. And so usually most people have that proverbial day job, but you have really developed into quite an artist, and not just an artist, but also a teacher. And that's what brought you, I think, to Encore. Mm-hmm. What kind of classes are you teaching? Because there's this thing about nature journaling that I'd like to discover a little bit more about. So how does nature journaling bring out the artist in someone who maybe like me, who's not, I hold a pencil like this.
Well, it uses all different parts of your brain. So when you go out, you observe.
This is journaling.
This is the nature journaling, yes. And that's the interesting connection and how it intertwines. So you go out and you're looking at nature, you're looking closely, you're quiet, you connect. And if you want to express what you're seeing and feeling and want to learn more about it, then the journaling is the best thing, because it really does connect you. It slows you down, gives you that opportunity to actually sit and watch what's happening. Is it a bug, or what's happening with this bird in this environment in their nest, and they're collecting worms, and there's all kinds of things going on that people miss when you're hiking. And there's two different kinds of hikes. You're hiking for the athletic and for the health, and you're booking it. But then there's the other that you're meandering, you're looking, you're learning, you're processing. You stop, you observe, you're quiet. And if you take it a step further, you can walk gently and walk quietly. But if you stop and just listen, take 10 minutes, it changes completely. Things become comfortable, things come out, things happen that you would never see even on a slow walk. So it really does connect you that way. And if you can record that in a journal, it's pretty special.
So it's almost like you're taking notes, and maybe I'm using the wrong word here, but like setting a blueprint for a picture that you're going to paint, or a sculpture that you're going to do, or something like that. But you have to take the time to stop and observe it and think it through and really see what its real essence is, rather than just the proverbial snapshot.
Right. And the thing that actually helps your artistic ability, and I always tell my students, it's not about making pretty pictures. It's actually just recording information. And so however you can capture that, then it takes the anxiety out of, but my journal isn't pretty. Well, it doesn't have to be, as long as you can capture it. And the more you do it, the better they will get at recording those pictures. And so it just naturally happens.
Well, I imagine you weren't born as a wonderful artist. You had to develop at it as well, through practice and through trial and error and so on and so forth. So what's the process that you walk? Somebody's at your class at Tri-C Encore. What's the process that you walk them through if they've never really done art, putting a picture on a paper, on a blank page?
So the first thing is to take the mystery out of it, to bring the tools that are easy to process. And so the first thing I say, you can draw anything you want using the shapes that you already know. And if you take triangles and squares and circles and apply that to what you're looking at, then you can do anything. And if I can teach you how to get the proportions correctly by measuring a part of the object that you're drawing and then measure it, okay, there's 7 of these. Well, on my paper, if I draw this, it's got to be 7 of those. That will at least get them to the place where they can work with it, instead of going, but it doesn't look like that. And with journaling as well, you're writing. So you're describing. So it takes your visual, you're doing the drawings, and then you're writing about it. And sometimes you have to be kind of fast because, nature's not going to wait for you. If it flies away, you better have it in your head. Okay, it was red, it was blue, and it had this, and the feathers came out. Oh my God. And then it did this. It was eating this. It was in this tree, and then it was gone. So you have to learn how to, bring that quickly onto your paper or remember it on in your journal.
So you have in the past told me about the duck. So, right, walk me through helping people looking at these shapes, looking at the basic shapes of nature, and then you hold up a duck.
So I brought in, I believe it was a wood duck, and it was a taxidermy. And the students moaned and groaned like, oh my God, there's so much detail, and there's so many colors.
There's colors and feathers.
And feathers, and it's this and that. And I said, okay, now let's look at it. What's the shape of the head? And they're like, well, it's kind of round or like an egg. Okay, it's kind of like an egg. And what shape is the neck? Well, it's kind of like a cylinder, but when you're looking at it, it's like a rectangle. What about the body? What's that shape like? Well, it's kind of like a football. And then we put it all together and smoothed it out and got the feathers and well, what about the wing? Well, the wing is kind of like a pointy egg. Okay, we'll do that. And the tail is like a triangle. Okay, there you've got the tail. What about the beak? It's like a triangle too. And so before they knew it, they had the duck all marked out. And I said, now let's smooth out those edges and start seeing a little bit more of the feathers and the detail. And they were amazed that it actually looked like a duck. And they go, we would never have done that because they get overwhelmed by the detail. They get overwhelmed by all the different shapes that they're seeing. But if you break it down into those dimensions and use that strategy, then it's easier.
And slowly and surely, then you start to blend the gross shapes into the more nuanced shapes.
Correct.
So I imagine you're using the lead or the graphite part of the pencil but you're also using the eraser part of the pencil as much to clean things up. And
well, you do, but sometimes that's kind of part of the process, especially when you're learning. And I always tell them, especially in their journals, I think the most frightening thing is to start a journal and do your first drawing in the first page or the second page, because if you mess that up, then you're going to see it all the time. So it's kind of terrifying. So I always tell them, start in the back of your journal and practice on those back pages. And when you're comfortable, then you can start going forward from the front. And then I said, and don't throw those mistakes out. You're going to learn from those mistakes. It's important to know what you've done. They're helpful, and
it helps you see your progress.
It does. And not only that, is that it didn't work there for that, but you'll come across something else and you'll go, oh, I did that, and go back to your mistake and go, that mistake would work perfectly in this scenario. So you can interchange it. It didn't work for that one, but boy, it would be really cool over here. So don't get rid of them.
Well, and here's the great thing about art, as you already know, many people who are casual art observers are like, oh, well, I like this kind of art, or I like that kind of art, or whatever. But I think a lot of people who, when they sit there and go, well, I'm not a good artist, it's because they have maybe an expectation in their head that what they're going to draw is going to be photorealistic. It will look like a photograph rather than art, but art doesn't have to be perfect.
No.
Right.
You don't really want it perfect.
It's sort of an expression of who you are. And so, right, if you're angry or if you're grieving or the person looking at it, even though you're a beginning artist, you are really expressing who you are. I'm confident or I'm shy or whatever it is. And that should come out in the art, even if it's not, especially if it's not perfect.
Correct. And actually imperfection is probably more interesting. And I tell the students this. I said, anybody can look at clip art and go, oh, that's kind of cool. It's clip art. But when you look at something that's not quite finished or the colors aren't quite, covering all the spaces, your brain goes, oh, that's kind of interesting. And it draws you in. And that's a way of manipulating people's attention when they're looking at a painting. Now, if it looks just like a photograph, you're like, oh, well, that's really cool. It looks like but when you see things that are half done, half there, half hidden, it's kind of a mystery, and your mind follows it and looks into it and tries to find more. And you stay there longer looking at it, and then you're like, God, that is really cool. And you enjoy it more. So the lights and the darks, the lines, the things that are unfinished are really important, I think. And everybody's going to do that different. And I'm glad that you brought that up, because everybody's an individual. And I would always hear in my classes, but it doesn't look like yours. And I'm like, thank God it doesn't look like mine. Well, it needs to be like yours.
Right. People don't walk like you. Why would they expect to? Right. Everyone's a little bit different. And even arguably one of the most famous paintings in history, the Mona Lisa, which is mostly photorealistic. Is that a fair thing to say? To your point that you were making just now, exactly, I'm given to understand that in the background, the horizon is off kilter. And this has set up debates. Did he mean to do that? Was he not paying attention? Is this right? Is this to your point of drawing the person into the painting? Do you have any thoughts on?
I'd have to line it up with her smile. Because if it's counter to her smile, that would be very interesting. So I'll have to take a closer look at it. If it was the same plane, then I would think, maybe it was a mistake. But if it was counter, then that might be something that your mind would play with. It just might. I'll have to take a look at that.
And some people, right? I've occasionally see little articles or whatever about this debate. Did he mean to do that, or what? Was he being a little bit subversive, or and all the different kinds of art. The photorealistic, the pointillism, the Jackson Pollock, the abstract. It's almost like a Rorschach test. You tell me, what do you see? Right? That's kind of a in there.
Yeah.
And I wanted today to maybe look at some of the art that you have done, and just so people can see what their potential is, because you've been doing this for a number of decades now. You've been working on it, but you had to start somewhere with your art. And is this a recent painting, or is this from a few years ago? Tell me about this.
Well, actually, I'll show you this one, but I would probably need to get another one, because this was a very unusual. It was an assignment in a class, and the first Encore class I ever took here was an oil painting class. And this is the painting that I was working on. And the assignment was to find a master painter, a painting that you like, and duplicate it so you understand how they put it together and how they did it. So we got our own, we picked it out, we grafted the the picture in squares, and then you transfer it onto your canvas, and then you paint it. So this is an actual duplicate, a painting of a painter that I really, really enjoyed, Albrecht Bricker, I believe it is. And he's in the Youngstown Museum. So it's in the Butler. So that's what this is.
Well, let's hold this up and take a look at it for a little bit.
But I did paint it.
But this is a picture that you copied. Mm-hmm. But how different is it from the original? I wish we had the original here, but they won't trust me with that.
I took license and changed some things, left some things out. But I was learning how to mix colors and to do, light and dark, and understand the different textures in your painting and how you use your paintbrush, what brushes you use. So this was a while ago. This was kind of my jump off to working with oil. And after that, I stuck with it. I have worked with acrylic a lot, especially in my workshops, and watercolor, pencil, and lots of things. But I always go back to oil. So now I'm back using oil.
But so this isn't your first effort per se. You've been doing art, because if this is your first effort, you are a genius.
Well, no, I had done a few in college and in some school, but this was the first serious one that I really wanted to dig into. So,
well, it's beautiful. The detail is there, and if I'm looking at this, and I don't know you well. We're acquainted with each other, but there's nothing bold here. These are subdued colors. These are very right. It's a very gentle scene. It looks like somebody's embarking. They're just taking it. Their sail is up and they're ready to get going, and they're. And if you take that moment, like you said, whether you're in nature or you're looking at someone's painting, you take a moment to just start to look at it right away. You start to see certain things. Mm-hmm. And whether we can say whether this person is coming into the dock or just leaving the dock. If they're leaving the dock, are they leaving the dock?
If it's a nice day, then yes.
They're leaving the dock. I'm looking at the water. The water has a rise to it. Like I'm getting ready to really challenge myself and go out and into the world. This is just my initial impression. I've never seen this painting in my life before, not even the original guy. Do you have another painting that you want to show us?
Yeah.
So people, just coming into a class without a lot of, they may not be that detail oriented with their painting, but they can get really close to this.
Well, they can. And what that lesson taught me was how to not be afraid of using my paintbrush. And it was like baby steps. I followed somebody else's lead, and then it gave me confidence to then go off on my own and do it. So it's a really good exercise. So there's nothing wrong with trying to see how did they do that. I still look at paintings and go, I really like how they did that, and I'm going to try it. And one of the painters that I really like is Turner, William Turner. He's got like 3 names. And he's awesome. But the way it's called scumbling, where you take dry brush paint over a painting. And so the other colors kind of filter through, but it gives it this cool haze. It's absolutely so cool. And I'm going to try that.
It gives it some extra texture.
It gives it, it's
but no matter
beautiful.
No matter what you do, what technique you employ or whatever, it's still going to look like Carol painted it. It's not going to look like this Thomas guy painted it.
Right. And my next class at Tri-C is exactly that. So these students have been with me for a couple of years, and they've learned the basics, and they're now not afraid. They know how to start things off. And now I'm going to challenge them to do some paintings and then say, and put your own spin on it. I want you your technique, yourself, your personality to come out of that. And I will help you and I will nurture that. But it doesn't have to look like your neighbors. It doesn't have to look like mine. You need to develop your own. And growing up, you're never really allowed that in a class. This is how you do this, and this is how you do that.
So you're not just taking people with no experience whatsoever, and here's your duck, good job, go home, right? You're continuing to help people develop this artistic expression, which maybe has been latent in them for decades, and it really adds a new dimension. Here's the thing that I think most people, I don't know if this is true, I hope it's not true, is that, well, I'm 55, I'm 65, I'm 70, whatever, I'm retired now, and right, there's nothing else for me to learn or do or anything. Horse hockey. There's always something more that we can learn. And if you've ever wanted to try art, you are the person to start with, because you're very easy and gentle.
Thanks.
And
thank you.
You're not judgmental, and art must be like this. Right?
No, and it really tugged on my heart. And one of the things that is so enriching is that I actually learn a lot from them. I learn just as much from them as I hope they get from me. And to hear them say, oh, I always wanted to do art, but I just don't. I can't. I'm not an artist. And I'm like, oh my God, yes, you can.
Yes, you are.
And so that is like so enriching to me. And then to have them be really proud of what they've done. And I said, okay, that's your art. And it doesn't look like mine. It doesn't look like anybody else's. And we're going to help you develop what you want to do with your art. And it's really fun. And they help each other. It's a community. And so I always, walk around and somebody's done something cool, like, oh, can I show? And they go, okay. And so I grab
so you're making new friends too.
So I pick it up and I'm like showing everybody and they're like, ooh, I like how you did that. And then I go to another one and we all share. They're all supportive. Nobody, feels
you never
bad.
know when you're going to find inspiration from somebody else. That's
and
so
that's
awesome.
it. I said, yes, and that's exactly it. It's not like this is my stuff. We all learn from each other. I like how you did that. How did you do that? Okay, this is what I did. And so we're all learning from each other.
Let's see one more painting from you. I'm really intrigued.
So this is one that challenged me. So as you can see from the other painting, I really like detail. I did pencil portraits for a long time. And so the portraits actually had to look like the people I was drawing. And I kind of wanted to break out of being so exact and so perfect. And so this was a class that I took at Stella's Art Gallery where I belong. And it was amazing just being loose and fun and free with color. I wanted to learn how to use light and dark more and how you can manipulate that around your scene. And
it's quite a departure from the other painting that you did. I would almost say that's two different artists.
Right. And that's what I wanted to learn, that kind of technique. And when you start using your lights and darks, the students laugh at me. I said, your painting's going to tell you what to do. When you stand back, you're going to go, oh, it's darker over here, lighter over there. Oh, that looks like this. What didn't start out to be a babbling brook. It was going to be like a woods. But the way the paint went, I was like, I could put water in there. And oh, look, and I could make it come over. And so your painting can actually talk to you without even it wasn't really planned, but it just turned out that way.
And that brings motion and vigor to the...
Yeah, and it makes it fun. It's kind of like, ooh, I could put that in there. That looks kind of fun.
That's great. I hope a lot of people are going to be coming into your class to enjoy learning how to be an artist as well. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much, and I have so much fun, and thank you so much for letting me share that, and I hope that they enjoy it as well.
Great.
You'll have to join me.
Awesome.
Thank you.